Most people don't struggle to start journaling, they struggle to stay. In the beginning, it's easy. There's a kind of curiosity around it. You show up, you write, you feel like you're doing something good for yourself. For a few days, maybe even a couple of weeks, it flows. And then something changes. Just a slightest of shift. You skip a day, then another. You tell yourself you'll come back to it when things feel a little more settled. And before you realize it, the practice becomes something you used to do. It's easy to think the problem is discipline or inconsistency, but most of the time, it's neither. What actually fades is the feeling that made you start. In the beginning, journaling feels new. There's a sense that something might come out of it, something useful, something revealing. But over time, that feeling softens. The pages don't always feel meaningful. Some entries feel repetitive, some feel like you're just writing to fill space. And without that initial sense of discovery, it becomes harder to stay. Because now, you're left with something quieter, something that doesn't immediately reward you. This is usually the point where people drift away, not because they don't care, but because staying starts to feel less obvious. We're used to committing to things that show visible results, something you can measure, something that clearly improves you over time. Journaling doesn't always give you that. Writing doesn't always give you that. Some days it feels useful, other days it feels neutral, and sometimes it feels like it's not doing much at all. So staying with it requires a different kind of understanding. It's less about what you get from each individual day and more about what happens when you don't leave. Because the value of a practice like this isn't always in the single entry. It's in the accumulation. The way your thoughts slowly become easier to sit with, the way you start noticing patterns without actively searching for them, the way writing becomes a familiar place instead of something you have to convince yourself to do. None of that happens in one sitting. It happens because you stayed through the ordinary parts. And that's the part no one really talks about. Staying doesn't always feel meaningful. Most of the time it feels simple, sometimes even a little dull. But that doesn't mean it's not working. It just means you're no longer relying on motivation to show up. You're building something steadier. If you think about it, most things that actually stay in your life don't stay because they are exciting every day. They stay because they've quietly become part of how you may move through your days. Journaling can become that, but only if you let it exist beyond the phases where it feels interesting or insightful. So if you've struggled to stay consistent, or if you've started and stopped more times than you can count, maybe the question isn't why can't I stick to this? Maybe ask yourself, what am I expecting this practice to give me every single time? Because if the expectation is constant clarity, constant depth, it's going to feel like it's falling short. But if the expectation becomes something simpler, just showing up, just filling a paper, just staying, being disciplined a little, then something shifts. The practice stops being something you successful or fail at and becomes something you return to again and again. Not perfectly, not every single day, but often enough that it remains part of your life. And over time, that's what staying really looks like. Not intensity, not perfection, just a quiet kind of return, one page at a time.